Hey folks, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. I hope you're having a great day. We've got a packed stream for you today. There's lots of stuff to talk about, so I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. I hope everything's going to go well technology-wise and not screw everything up as it did during the show last week with my audio. Everything looks okay from my end again. I can't see any reasons why the audio should have problems. But yeah, let's see who's in chat. I think Acidic Pure got first, so congratulations, you got first. No prize, but hey, you were first. There we go. We've also got Sine Wave Slicer as well here. John O'Lags, Anarchy as well saying hi, good evening Anarchy. Pub Goku, who we're doing the build for today, we're going to be building his Lin Whale shortly. Not Evening says hello. Geo's here too. Karcher as well. Another J420 is here as well. The Containment Unit saying greetings. John O'Lags asking about the raffle. So if you look in this bottom corner here of the screen, you will see that the J01 raffle is running right now. Apiary Keyboards actually built one of these yesterday. I had a bit of a pain with it, but got there in the end once we gave it the right directions, because it's not an easy board to build. It's quite complex inside and internally. So there is a raffle going on for one now. There's only 15 or 16 of these boards in existence. It's a design that I did about this time last year. And if you donate $5, you get a raffle ticket to buy one. Currently, we've sold about 1,100 raffle tickets, or just shy of that when I was speaking to Mike earlier on today. They're $5 a piece, so we've made just over $5,000 now for charity. All of the donations are going to go to charity. I'm going to match every penny up to, well, I think we're past the limit of what I can match now. Yeah, it runs until the 23rd. So if you guys want to do it, you can put !raffle into chat and that will give you the link. You can go buy a raffle ticket, support a great cause. Who else have we got? We've got Dando Good, 10 Strongs here as well. ISO Return saying evening all. Existentially Yours is here as well. Apiary Keyboards, good afternoon, good evening Gasp. Vogon PT, already got 5 of the raffle tickets. We'll get some more this month. Nice, thank you dude, I appreciate that. Boys here as well. Huey subscribed for 4 months with a tier 1 sub saying hi. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for joining. John O'Warren's here as well, repping the UK crowd. Metallic Charles is here for the C3 stabs. You can see the pink ones just here, they're C3. Acidic Pure gave himself a gold star as a reward for being first. Fantastic. Landy is here as well. Mr. Cafe as well. I actually got my Latralium caps in. I haven't shown these off properly on stream yet. So these are my Latralium Cafe caps. These are absolutely stunning, absolutely beautiful. Really impressed with these. Can't wait to get GMK Cafe and get these on a board. Really happy with those. Super happy. I also got my, since I last did a build stream, I also got a Matapora from Alpha keycaps, which as you can see this is dragon scale. It's nice and shiny, it looks great. So yeah, I think that's all I've had artisan wise in the past week or so. I think that's it. April Keyboard says didn't help, I'm Smallberry. Now you got there in the end. You if you'd have been racing me, you would have beaten me, I suspect. Geo's currently building his JO1, there we go. 5 to 1,100. Yep, I like those odds. Fair enough, Jay. Hopefully you'll well, good luck. I'm not going to say hopefully you'll win, but good luck. Professor Cattington's here. That's a name I've not seen for a while. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for joining. Mr. Petrov's here as well. Pilot XJ subscribed for 10 months, saying good evening, Sir Jay. No, good evening to you, Pilot. Thank you very much for being here. Talisman starting us off with 1,111 bits. Look at that, guys. Thank you very much, Talisman. Still way out in the lead with in number 1 for both bits and gift subs, I think, as well. Yeah, way in the lead for gift subs. Yeah, 212 and 122,222 bits. Thank you very much, Talisman. Thank you. Who else have we got? Cohen's here too. Unicorn 855. Oh, the stream is already starting. Yeah, we're literally just doing introductions at the minute. I'm just seeing who's around. We've got Unicorn 855 saying hello, Top Clack, with a ton of emotes. With hey guys, Doritos, chips, love hearts, and a smiley face. Thank you very much for those, dude. 10 Strong's here as well saying I'm scared what you're going to say about these if you haven't fiddled with them. I had a really poor first impression. Boy asking if there's any PC Canoe today. There isn't. I haven't even opened it yet. The box is downstairs. I haven't even looked at the damn thing yet. I just haven't had time. Mechaniski's here, Leandrin himself. Thank you very much, Leandrin. I've actually got your PCB here that you sent me a couple of weeks ago. It's in there ready to go on a personal build in the next couple of days. So thank you very much for that. Cozy Fan of 2T's here. Very curious to see what you see about these stabs. I have some Everglide and C3 stabs on the way, and I'm very curious. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the stabilizers themselves and compare them to a few different bits and pieces, and I'll cover that off shortly. The second thing we'll do is once we've tested those stabilizers, we'll then lube them and retry them. So these are all fresh, brand new stabilizers, unused, first time they've ever been clipped into a board, brand new PCB, brand new switches, unlubed switches, all the same switch, exactly the same. Try and give us the best test bed as possible. We'll then test them, we'll lube them, we'll talk about them, we'll see what my impressions are. I have had a bit of a play in another board with them already, but not much. We'll go from there, and then we'll move into the build, which is we're going to be building a polycarbonate Lin Whale today for Pub Goku, and that's going to be using Nixie switches. So we have all of the Nixies here. So these have all been lubed and spring swapped and filmed. So these have got white films in. They've been spring swapped to 68 gram sprit springs, and they've all been lubed with 205 grade 0. Which reminds me, I need to grab some lube for the stabs. There we go. The last of my 205 grade 0 there. So yeah, so we're going to be building that. We'll be unboxing the board as well, because I've got to tell you, it's an absolute beauty, and I'm dead jealous of it. I kind of want it. Kind of tempted to not send it back to him. We'll also be putting DMG on there today as well. We were going to be doing some infill. However, I haven't tested infill on polycarbonate boards as yet. Excuse me. So we're probably not going to do that on stream today. Although I have mixed the paint ready. Space or SPAC CDK, yeah, those are different keycaps with different amounts of passing. I know they are, but it's the best I can do without having 10 of the same PCB and just using the enter keys and getting 10 GMK sets out. This is the best I can do where we can have them all at the same sort of pace. So what we're really listening for isn't the sound of the keycap, we're really listening for how much rattle and how they feel. So you guys will have to trust me on how they feel, and you'll be able to hear how much they rattle or don't. And we'll go for that. Vai has subscribed for 2 months and says Pog Goku build. Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. Chad has been subscribed for 5 months, currently on a 4-month streak. He says super excited for this build. Thanks for streaming it. I'm really excited for this build. It's a long time since I've built with Nixies. The last one I did was my TGR Alice. So I'm excited to put these on the board. It's the first Lin board I've ever built, and it's the first Lin board I've ever actually held and used myself. So I'm really excited to do that as well. Gouty's here as well, saying FART. Thanks very much for that, Gouty. Living up to your the compliments that I paid you earlier on, of course. Nostalgic34 asking what are Nixie switches. They're vintage switches that's basically cherry blacks, but they were in nixed off boards, so they're called Nixies because they're in nixed off boards. They were only in like 2 or 3 different model numbers from a certain year period, but effectively they're vintage blacks with milky tops, but all cherry branded. They also come with diodes within the switch, but these have all been removed for these switches. I personally like to keep them in, but you know, each to their own. Talisman Solutions linking to April Keyboard's Twitch video stream. Yes, that was on yesterday. I was watching a lot of that at 4:30 this morning in bed, trying to advise Gasp on how to build my very complex boards, because they are stupid complex. Haven't reviewed the stabs yet. No, we've been live for 7 minutes and I've barely finished doing introductions and saying thank you to people for joining, so we'll be okay. John O'Lag saying, anyone know how good the Ducky 03087 keyboard is with MX Reds? No, sorry, never tried it. Check reviews on Amazon and places like that, and maybe have a look on /r/mechanical keyboards and see what people think of it there. April Keyboard saying, totally worth that sound. Yeah, to be honest, the way the JO1 and the JO2 are designed, it's to accentuate sound and make the board sound really good. And I think Cohen mentioned earlier on in chat as well, I'm sure I saw that he got to try the boards at the Antwerp meetup, and was very impressed with the sound and feel. So yeah, thanks very much for that, guys. Okay, Acidic Pure saying, for someone who's never tried polycarb, what would probably be the most accessible board to look for to try out now? I guess the E6.5 and the old Cats board, the Think 6.5, those two are probably the easiest to get hold of. Failing that, you could look at a polycarbonate Singer. I'm trying to think what else boards come in polycarbonate. That's all I can think of that would be at the lower end of the price range. Okay, so I think we've finally caught up. People coming up with different things. Noxia 268, KBD 8 times. Yeah, there's lots of expensive ones out there as well. M65B is still up. Yeah, that's quite expensive. Think 6.5. I said Think 6.5. I don't think it's that pricey. I think it's like $400, something like that. I think it's okay. The pink Noxies are really nice. I actually saw the first pink Noxie about 12 months ago, so it was last December. Zondat drove over to visit me where I live, and we went to the coffee shop, and he showed me the pink 268, and I was really tempted to buy one then. So there. Audio seems quiet. Well, it's going into the amber for me in Streamlabs. I can't turn it up anymore. My Rode is on full volume in every setting I have within Windows, within Streamlabs. Can't get it any higher, I'm afraid. Sorry. If I shout, it is going into the red, so it's probably too loud. Try boosting your volume on your PC, I guess. That's about it. Okay, so without much further ado, let's talk about how we're going to review these stabilizers. So, as a couple of people pointed out earlier on, I have just one PCB here. This PCB is from Max Cable Car Designs, and it's designed for the profit, but it is basically a straight 60% with some consistency cuts in there as well. As you can see there, it's designed for the profit. The switches aren't soldered in, but they are in pretty securely. These are all Gateron Blacks, brand new, completely unused, completely unlubed, never opened, never touched before. They are completely brand new. In terms of stabilizers, we've got brand new Cherry stroke GMK screw-ins. So these are made by Cherry, but they're branded GMK screw-ins. They haven't been touched with any lube. They haven't been touched by anything. This is the first board they've been screwed into. They literally got put together for this test. The next we've got is some Everglide stabilizers in pink. I've also got the smoky housing and the clear housing ones as well. These are, again, brand spanking new, never been used, never lubed, never touched. First time they've all been clipped together is here. And they're screw-in, so they're also known as Duroc stabs or stabilizers, and they're very, very similar to the EPBT ones we saw about 18 months ago on the market as well. We've then got the new C3 stabs. These are pink. I do have all of the different colours of C3 stabs, bar the orange ones. I gave the orange ones to Satanicus yesterday. I met him for a coffee. Gave him the yellow ones to take away, sorry, the orange ones to take away and try out. And these pink ones are going to a friend of mine called Stocks as well. But we will try them out today and see how they are. And then over on the this side as well, we've got a Zeal stabilizer. So this is a brand new Zeal stabilizer, unused, unlubed, untouched, but it's kind of a known quantity that we can compare against. Okay, so in terms of the keycaps, appreciate they're all going to be different. We're listening for rattle, we're testing for feel, we're trying to see how these go, what they feel like and how they compare as stabs. So whilst I'll try and be as objective as I can, you guys can listen and see what you think from a sound perspective. Bear in mind this isn't going to be in a case, but they are all using the same switch and you're listening to the stabilizer sound, not necessarily the keycap sound. If I'd put it in a board, all you'd have heard is there's just a sound of typing on it, which doesn't necessarily translate to what the stab is or isn't doing. So this is the fairest test I can do without finding 60% PCBs and using them all on the ANSI enter or something similar. So this is the closest I can get to a fair test, but I will be as honest as I can in regards to the switch, in regards to the stabilizers and how they feel. I'm just going to pause the music in the background. John O'Warren subscribed with Twitch Prime. Thank you very much for the 2 months. Currently on a 1 month streak. And I think there was another one as well. NR Bigfoot subscribed at tier 1, subscribed for 11 months. And he said, Jay is beautiful. I'm really not, but thank you, dude. I will definitely take that compliment. So I'm just going to pop these on. Once we've popped these on, we'll see what they sound like. Okay. Okay, first thing I notice is they're quite stiff, but the same as the Duroc ones. We'll then lube them with some dielectric grease. So let's listen to the brand new GMK stabilizers first. So I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there's a lot of scratch. There's a lot of rattle as well. It's fairly stable. It does exactly what it needs to do. It keeps the cap upright. It feels the same no matter where you press it. That's all good. They do feel scratchy as hell. They don't feel great. It feels like you're pressing down on a sandy switch. That's exactly what it feels like. Moving over onto the Durock stabs. So this is the Everglide stabs. First thing I notice is there's less rattle. They also feel smoother, but there's still some rattle there. They're not exactly a quiet. They're not exactly a quiet stabilizer. They're also a bit more clacky than the GMK ones, and I suspect that's just due to the material housing. Okay, let's try the C3 stabilizer. Okay, so the first thing I'll say for these is they're very, very rattly. These are actually even more rattly than the GMK ones right now. There is more rattle in the C3 stabilizer than in either of the other two right now. Again, this is completely unlubed, so this is as fair a test as I can get it. We'll lube them and try again in a second. They feel smooth though. They feel really smooth. They're probably a tiny bit smoother than the Durock, the Everglide ones. In terms of sound, they sound closer to the GMK ones in terms of the actual stabilizer sound, a little bit deeper. So the polycarbonate ones here, these the Durock ones, they're much higher pitched than the opaque ones. So that's one thing to take into consideration. And then finally the known quantity Zeal stabilizers. Probably the smoothest of the lot. Rattle is probably on par with the Durocks, the Everglide stabilizers. Sound is almost identical to the Durock stabilizers as well, but they are significantly higher priced. Okay, so let's just go back and see what people have been saying. Durock sounds a lot better. Yes. Durock and Zeal probably sound the best of the four. In terms of feel, I'd say that the Durock and the Zeal are pretty much on par, but there is a little bit more rattle from the Durock ones, the Everglide ones. Keeps with Dead, subscriber to tier 1. Thank you very much. Duck comes, he just bought 1,000. It's so scratchy. Yeah, it is really scratchy, but it's not as scratchy as the GMK ones. So the GMK ones are significantly more scratchy than the C3. At least this particular one that I've got here. You think the C3 is smoother? Try with your other fingers. Yeah, it's definitely smoother than GMK. 100% smoother than GMK. Are we going to do the J-score for the Equinox tonight? We can do that, yeah, I can grab that board and we can J-score that when it comes to it. Okay, so I think in terms of my preference, completely stock and completely unlubed, I would put Zeal and Durock or Everglide stabilizers on par for the top spot here. I would then say that I would probably, just in terms of feel, I would probably go with the C3 and then the GMK. I think that's how I would order it. Now, let's take the caps off and then let's try putting some lubrication into these stabilizers and seeing where we get to from there, see how we feel about that. Talisman Solution, thank you very much for the tier 1 gift to Existentially Yours. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm just going to use my lube injector method here and try and quickly lubricate these switches as fast, these stabilizers as fast as I can. This should eliminate the rattle that we experience in them. So I'm just literally going into the back of the stabilizers here and injecting some lubricant, which is just dielectric grease. and then we'll go into the front of the switches afterwards. Do the Zeal ones as well. Okay, now we're just going to go into the front of the stabilizer housings, lube them up nicely. Okay. Last ones, and we'll give them a bit of a move around, make sure that the lube is all evenly coated throughout. Okay. Jetty going in the back door. Well, that's one way of putting it. Okay, just going to make sure that these are all lubricated all around as much as I can. Okay, and let's pop the keycaps back on. Okay, let's try again and see what we think now. Okay, so the rattle's 99% gone. They don't feel that much smoother. They still feel pretty rough and scratchy. Very much more muted in terms of sound. Let's try the Duroc, the Everglide. Okay, it feels smoother. Very, very, very little rattle. There's just a tiny bit on the upstroke, and I think that's where the stabilizer is hitting the maximum return upwards. Okay, so that's a marked difference. These feel way better once they're lubed, but they still don't feel great. The Duroc, the Everglide, has still got the jump on these for me. The rattle goes better than it does on the GMK ones though. Okay, and then let's try the Zeal ones quickly. Okay, probably the nicest of the bunch by far. Okay, so once lubed, I think my my order of preference then is going to be the Zeal, then the Duroc, then the C3, and then the GMK. Unlubed, it was these two were on par. The Zeal and the Duroc were on par. Then it was GMK, and sorry, then it was C3, and then it was GMK. So GMK is still not up there until we see the revised GMK stabilizers early next year. I don't think that they're probably worthwhile using right now, in my opinion. The C3 ones are okay once you've lubed them. I think they're not great if you haven't lubed them. They're a little bit rattly. They don't sound as good as the polycarbonate housing stabilizers, the transparent ones. I think opaque stabilizers don't sound as good, is my take from this. That being said, they are pretty cheap, so they're easy to get hold of. I'll probably still use them in builds because I don't think they're that bad, but they are nowhere near as smooth as the Everglide and the Zeal stabilizers. So in terms of that, then it brings down to your choice. You can pick the Zeal stabilizers, which are a lot more expensive but have a better quality rate. The Duroc and Everglide stabilizers, whilst they feel and sound almost the same, I have had some that don't work out of the bag. So when I've been opening the bags up, there have been some of the housings that haven't worked. The wires won't clip into them because they've been bent or broken in transports. That's the other side of it as well. So then it comes down to a cost versus quality decision for me. I would probably go, just because I buy in bulk personally, for the Everglide ones, but it's a really fine margin. So review overall and hot take for the C3 stabs. It's nice to have another stab opportunity on the market, something else to buy rather than just buying the standard GMK or Zeal. It's now nice that we've now got other viable options. I think they're absolutely okay, mediocre. They're cheap, they're cheerful, they come in plenty of colours, you can theme them to your build. In terms of their actual quality, I think that they, just fresh out of the bag, are not that great. They're quite scratchy. Once lubed, they're okay, they're usable. I would probably not want to put them in a full TKL size build, but maybe on a 60% they'll be alright. That's probably my take. So there we go. Let's see what people in chat. I'll put the music back on. Let's see what people in chat have been saying. See if you guys agree or disagree. Existentially laws. Thanks, Talisman. Thank you very much for that. Jay's going in the back door. Do Zeals fill from the back? Yeah, you can fill both of them from the back using that method. We won't be using that method for the build today, but yeah, just using the injector, you can pretty much fill from anywhere you need to on any stabilizer. How similar are the Durex to the Zeal? Very, very similar. So in terms of feel and sound, it's very similar. You can feel that the Zeal are a little bit smoother, both out of the box and once lubed, and there is significantly less rattle, but it's very, very close. Very close indeed. You should try the mod I linked. It gets them a lot smoother. I may try that, but my view is after lubing, you shouldn't really have to modify your stabs. That should be all you have to do. GMK and Cherry stabs are the same though. Yes, they are exactly the same. They're made in the same factory by the same company. The inserts are identical. The housings are identical apart from the screw part and the clip-in part. But yes, they are exactly the same, yeah. Okay, so my cheap-ass Red Dragon keyboard has almost no stab rattle. Nice, well done. I had to step out early. Did you mention where to buy these? I need to buy some. I got my C3 from Tao. I also got my Everglide ones from Taobao. The GMK ones came from Fax, who is a EU provider of stabilizers, and the Zeal ones came from Zeal. There we go. Free Zeal stabs for the win, I guess. Yeah, if you can get free ones, good to you. Thank you. I'm relatively new to this hobby and I was wondering where I can get lube for key switches in the UK. So I get all of my key switch lube from mykeyboard.eu. They are about to restock, if I remember correctly. Mykeyboard.eu are just up here. You can see their name. Just go visit them. Mykeyboard.eu. You'll find them. They've got pretty much every key set. They're really nice people, dead easy to get hold of, and I can't speak highly enough. That's why I have them there, because they help me out and they're a great company. So yeah, absolutely. Cohen says it is the old logo. Yes, it is the old logo, but the new one doesn't say My Keyboard. It's just the MKB, and everyone asks me who it was. I did change it a couple of weeks ago, and I just got asked who it was all the time. So it's gone back to the old one until I can get one that says MKB and My Keyboard underneath. Necrowoman here. Restock is tomorrow. There we go. Restock on lubes. We have it with the name too. I'll send you. Oh, there we go. Great. You've got one with the name on. Fantastic. I will update it for next week's stream. Okay. They have lube, just no vials. You can message them for custom order, I believe, if you really need the lube right now. Yeah, well, Necrowoman's in chat, so there we go. Gaspy's asking, I wonder if there's a good way to mod these C3 stabs. So Tenstrong has actually taken a file to them, and he says that really works. I don't intend to try that on stream today, because this is supposed to be a build stream, not really anything else. My view is that C3 stabs, in the pink colour at least, I can't tell any difference between the other colours either, is that they're mediocre at best, but they're still better than GMK stabilizers in their current format. My money would still be on the Everglide and the Zeal stabilizers as probably pretty much on par with each other. They're almost identical in terms of feel. That's where my money would go right now. One of those two, depending on whether you want something that's cheap and plentiful or whether you want something that's a little bit more expensive. You can pay your money and take your choice on that one. That being said, it's just nice to have something else on the market to put your money towards. And if you want to have a themed build, if you want to do something that's teal or purple, you know, if you want to go hyperfuse build or something, it's great to be able to have stabilizers that can match those colorways. So there we go. Tenstrong says he files the wires, grinds off the opposing corner rails like in the vid. Okay, I will have a watch of that video, Tenstrong, and I will try it out. I just didn't have a chance before stream, so I apologize about that. Where did I get the bottle for your dielectric grease? I got a ton of these bottles off of Amazon. I have paints in them. I do all sorts. So this is the paint that's been mixed for the infill for the board that we're going to look at later on. Yeah, I think it was like, I don't know, 20 quid for 30 of these bottles. They were dirt cheap, and they're just plastic squeezy bottles. They're easy to use. Just under arts and crafts on Amazon. So there we go. Are there no channel emotes for Top Clack? Not at the minute. We are working on some. We will have some soon. How much are the Everglide stabs? I think I got the clear ones, the smoky ones, and the pink ones. I think it was for $70, but it was enough for 2 full-size builds for each of them, I think, if I remember rightly. I don't think it was particularly expensive. Tenstrong, if you want to PM your link in the chat, then you can drop it in there. That's fine. I don't mind you putting it in there. You can always use dental syringes for wisdom teeth and fill with dielectric as well. Yeah, they're very, very similar things. Very similar things. Okay. a TKL set for smoky ones for $16 for me. Yeah, I think I got a TKL set or a full size set in each colour for $70. I think shipped from Taobao. I think that's what it was, something like that. Wasn't massively expensive. Yes, the ones on KP Republic are legit. Yes. Okay, well, with that done, my money. So just to be really succinct and really clear, they are perfectly adequate and will do the job just fine. But they do need to be lubed. They're crap, just straight out of the box. But they're still not onto Zeal or Everglide Duroc status. That would be my final thoughts on those. There we go. Okay, so it's time to move on to the board we're going to be building today. And as I said, we are going to be building it with Nixie switches, including a white Nixie for the spacebar. These have been lubed with 205 grade 0. They are Sprit 68 gram springs, which have been lubed with 104. And these switches have also been filmed as well. You can probably see the films just peeking out on a couple of these switches, just like this switch here. Just at the back, you can see the films peeking out as well. They are original Nixie switches. That means that these are cherry tops. Even though they're milky, these are official cherry switches from the original Nixie boards back in, I think it was the early 90s, I think, maybe even before that. We've got a white one for space. The rest are all the same. These ones across the top row are the ones that are just, whilst these are old and vintage switches, you tend to cherry pick because we've only just got enough for the build. Those are the ones that aren't great, and these are the ones that are all in great condition. So these will be going in the alpha cluster and the modified keys, and these ones will be the first ones to go up on the F row because it's a TKL that we're building. So there we go. So that's the switches for today. Just pop these to one side. Okay. The other thing I just wanted to say as well is I've mentioned the J01 raffle, and you can see it down here in the bottom corner of the screen. Pub Goku, who we're building for, was nice enough to send me this, and I hope I don't embarrass him by showing this off. But he said, "Hi Jay, thanks for your help with the build. This is a little something for you to add to the winner of the J01 raffle." So the J01 keyboard is going to be in the box. There's going to be some other goodies in the box as well. Something from Zisp. If you know what he's been selling recently, you'll know what that is. There's also going to be this in there, which is a Keyforge Artisan. Now, I've not opened this, I've not looked at it. It doesn't look like it's ever been opened, and this is going to be in the box as well. So the winner's going to have not just the JL1 keyboard, but they're also going to have some really cool goodies as well. There's quite a few people wanting to chuck things in there, so the box might even get bigger as we go on towards the end of the raffle period. So for $5 you could win the board, you could win all of these other goodies as well, and you can also support a great cause. So thank you to everyone who's retweeted my stories and pictures and everything else and posted links and everything. We've done absolutely fantastically, and we've sold 1,100 tickets and 1,100 tickets so far at $5 a piece. Every penny's going to go to charity. I'm going to match as much as I can out of that, although I think we've just about reached the limit of what I can match financially just before Christmas. So yeah, go have a look at that if you want to, guys. The link will be popped up in chat every 5 minutes. You can do !raffle if you want to see it as well. So there we go. So thank you very much to Pop Goku for that. Really kind of him. Thank you very much, dude. Really appreciate it. I can't wait to put that in the box for the winner. So there we go. Okay, let's just catch it with chat before we get the board out. Everglide switches are pretty neat. I wouldn't mind going for those. Yeah. How comparable are the T1 switches to Holly Pandas? They're very different. They're very different. They're actually closer to Zeal V2s in my view. Everglides pop out easily. I've not had any pop outs with them, Cohen, so I think it must depend batch on batch, I think, with the Everglides. So, and it is a problem that the original Zeal stabilizer used to have as well. Pink Everglides. Do you want me to send you some gas? I can send you some pink Everglide stabilizers if you want. Okay, what's so special about them? They seem like MX Black with milky tops. They are, but they're very rare. So because they're rare, they're expensive. I know that logo, says April Keyboards. Yeah, I think you mean this logo. Yes, I think a lot of people recognise that logo. It is the Keyforge logo. So you know, the makers of the Shishi, the Mulders, the Orochis, all of those kind of keycaps. I probably have got some here. Oh, in fact, actually, that's a Keyforge cap, but not probably one of the ones that's been sold recently. So yeah, in fact, I've got a few of these, I think. There we go. Whoops, that's one on the floor. Yeah, a couple of Keyforge sculpts there. There we go. Okay, so about that. Gio says, I'm hating you a little right now. What have I done? I'm sat here on stream. I can't have done anything. So methodical in your Switch utilization approach. Yeah, you just got to do those things sometimes. Just rarer and paying for the privilege, says Anarchy. Yeah, that's exactly what Nixies are. Rare and paying for the privilege. But if this community doesn't have a bit of flex, it doesn't exist. That's part of it. Vogon PT saying very generous of PubGoku. Yeah, big thanks to PubGoku for the gift for the JO1 giveaway. Very happy with that and can't wait to see what the winner thinks when they open it all up. Finished my Tofu 65 with Lubed MX Silent Blacks yesterday. Came out nice and sounds great. Oh, well done, man. Glad you for that. Don't send me any. Thank UK shipping. That UK shipping. It's fine. Top Clack will pay the bill. Gio saying effing gaskets. Yeah, they're a pain, right? But it's worth it when you get that. It is worth it. Okay, so we've talked about that. My dog's trying to get into the office at the minute. I can hear her banging at the door. Now it's time to look at the Lin board that we're going to be building today. One of the other things we're going to do as well is we are going to do the J-score. So bear in mind, guys, that when we start to talk through the J-score, these are the kind of things that you need to be thinking about. So you need to be thinking about the ease of build, the packaging, which we're going to like in a second, first impressions, because this is all going to get scored at the end of the stream. I'm going to score it and you guys are going to score it as well. We've then got the home score, which is value, style, quality, typing sound. Typing feel you're going to have to trust me on. I will mark it for both of the columns, and that will be identical in both. Innovation and cool factor, and then we'll look at the work score, which covers practicality, office acceptance. Is it going to work in the office? Is it going to be easy to commute in practicality? And then the volume and noise level for ultimate acceptance. And once we've done that, we'll come out with some scores. We'll come out with some rankings. 10 strong. It doesn't look like he's updated this, although he did promise me he would. So 10 strong, calling you out. Don't know what's going on. And then the boards will get a rank at the end of it, and I'll put a final hot take in there as well. So don't forget, guys, to remember that we're going to be looking at all of those different categories as we go through the build. And we'll see where the board ranks up towards the end of the stream. Okay. Let's get rid of that for now. Okay, great. I can't wait. Better get a good score. Well, we'll see. Is this like a Doug score kind of? I didn't know that Doug did keyboard scores, so if he does, then sure. Gonna hazard a guess that value will be low. Well, I will have to ask PubGoku to tell me how much he paid for this, because that will form part of the J score as well. So I hope he's okay to share that. If not, I will put down what I think he paid for it, and he can tell me whether I'm right or wrong. April Keyboard said, my man has a whale. They are hella nice. Yeah, to be honest, I'd never really looked at them. It's probably one of the few makers that I've never thought of too much and had a look at. But yeah, I'm really impressed with this board. So first thing, nice brown recycled cardboard sleeve with the Linworks logo that's embossed on there. It's quite nice. Then we have a box which is kind of split into two segments with the All That Keyboard Linworks logo on top. Again, looking pretty smart. The box, it has got a small dent in this corner, but that's how it came. So yeah, there we go. Inside we have an emergency shipped plate. So this is an acrylic plate. It does look fuzzy around the edges, but I assure you it's not. The plate's fine. It's just where the lasers cut this. So this was shipped urgently and still turned out to be wrong, but it is a polycarbonate plate, very flexible, and we'll be building with this one today. We then have the PCB. This has been opened. This is a Heine PCB, if I remember correctly from when I looked earlier on today. Yes, this is the Heine H87A. You should be able to just see that there. So it's a very, very well-known PCB. Great quality. I've actually just bought one of these myself for a key cult number 2, so I can make it ISO. So yeah, very well-known PCB. That's what we'll be building the board with. Another layer of thick foam. So this is probably 0.5 centimetre thick. Really nice. And then just underneath that, we see the board itself. So this is a polycarbonate Lin whale TKL, and you might be able to see the weight through there as well. We'll look at the weight in a second, but that is quite impressive for a different reason. Wing keyless, we're going to be building it ANSI today. There's going to be a carbon fibre plate put in this in the new year, and it's going to get converted to ISO at that point. We're going to be building it with stepped caps, full shifts on left and right, and then a wing keyless 7U bottom row. You should be able to just see the logo here. I'll try and show you that, guys. I don't know how well that's going to show up on camera, but you should be able to see the Lin whale logo. That is going to get some infill on it once I've tested infill on polycarbonate boards. I'm really worried that the paint's just going to get stuck in the texture and I'm not going to be able to get it out, so that's going to be something we look at. In terms of the rest of the board, looking at the side profile, you can see it's got some nice finger cutouts here, so it does take a slight recess in at that point. Very similar to traditional boards. It's got the nice angle on the back. It's got the right hand side USB port. I was going to say left hand side, but it's right hand side. As we see on a lot of TKL boards, it's pretty nice. In fact, it's really nice. Flipping the board over, the weight does have a few finger marks on it, none from me, but this is a solid copper weight. I really like this copper because it's completely raw, it's completely fresh, it's going to patina really nicely over time. I'm a really big fan of that. This board is absolutely beautiful. As I say, we are going to take the aluminium plate out and we're going to replace it with the polycarbonate one. So this is going to be a very flexible build, and it's going to be very interesting to see what that sounds and typing feel is like. We'll have a bit of a further look at the quality once we get into the board as well and we start to take it apart, but I'm very excited for this build. In terms of the rest of the box, there's plenty of foam in here. It's, you know, all solidly put together. We've got some Zeal stabilizers that have been provided for the build as well. So looking forward to using those and Lubing them with 205 grade 0. And then there's also some rubber feet in here as well, which are pour-on rubber feet, which we can put onto the bottom of the board at the end of the build. Okay. So there we go. So that's the build that we're going to do. Let's just catch up with chat and see what we're talking about. Pubgocker says, I traded a built Fjell for the Lin kit. That's an incredible trade. If anyone wants to trade one for a Zephyr, I would love to trade one. I have a Zephyr sat around doing nothing that I would quite happily do that. 750 bucks or so. Okay, I'm probably going to go with 700 because I think that's probably a little bit on the high side, but 700 bucks probably feels about right for the price when we come to it. In fact, I'm going to put that in there now before I forget. 700. Okay. Okay. Cohen Ramos says plate cutouts through the PC is ugly though. Yeah, that's one thing. One way of looking at it. The interesting thing is I wonder how this will look when we put the polycarbonate plate in there, because of course we're going to take off this this backing as well in a second. So we'll go from there. Ultimate combo with GMK DMG, yeah, as well. Yes, I have GMK DMG here ready to go. This is the keycap set that will be going on it. My keycap set still remains unopened. This isn't mine. This is Pubgoku's, and I only opened this to get the keys out to match the paint, which there's lots of paint mixed on the inside that's not reflected on the outside, but the colour in there is quite close to the DMJ colour. But I'm not going to do that live on stream today. I'm going to do that once I've tested it on. Probably on the 6.5, I'm going to slather some paint on the bottom and see how that goes, and risk my own board rather than risking someone else's. Fundle LOL has just subscribed with Twitch Prime for 5 months. Thank you very much, dude. Really appreciate that. Amir says it's such a beauty. Right? How stunning is this board? It's absolutely lovely. Absolutely lovely. How C3 stabs compared to GMK? GMK are worse than C3 stabs, but I'd say that C3 stabs are still worse than the Durox stabilizers or the Everglide ones and Zeal stabilizers. So you pay your money, you take your choice. They're terrible out of the box, but they're okay once lubed are C3 stabs. So there we go. Okay. Whale is 650. Oh, right, okay. Too excited. You typed 650. 650. Okay, I'll update that. $650. There we go. There we go, updated. April Keyboard is continuing the gift sub they got from Talisman Solutions. Thank you very much, Gasp. I really appreciate that. Met Merlin's here as well. He made it. Thank you very much, Merlin, for doing the JO1 conversion to QMK the other day. I really appreciate that, my dude. You now just need to do the ISO one. So yeah. Okay. One Creative Mind here as well. Thank you very much, One Creative Mind. So for those that you don't know, One Creative Mind actually created all of these logos you can see for the JO1 raffle that you can see in this bottom corner here, underneath, above my hand. He created all of those graphics, so thank you very much for doing those for free for me, dude. Supporting a great cause as well. Thank you. Okay. Am I crazy? I was excited for Olivia R2, but now it's here. I'm kind of meh about it. No, I'm going to buy Olivia R2. I'm probably only going to buy one of the kits, one of the base kits, and I'm going to buy the ISO kit as well. Okay, interesting. I think this has got 2 coatings on it. Okay, there we go. 2 coatings. So I know this looked rough from the original pictures, guys, when I took these, because it's all filtered on the edges, but that was just the cover. As you can see, the actual plate itself is really nice, transparent. In fact, you can barely see that on camera. I'm going to try not to put too many fingerprints on this. That's all looking rather neat and tidy. You can barely see that at all. That's barely going to show up in that case. So whoever it was that mentioned being able to see the plate cutouts, you're probably not going to be able to see them once this is in the board. That's probably going to hide away. Okay, so we've got the PCB, we've got the case all ready. First thing we're going to do before we take the case apart and look inside that is we're going to actually build the board up, and then we can just put it all together towards the end of the stream. First thing we're going to do is put our stabilizers in place. So we're going to lube these up and go from there. First thing we need to do is just remove the screws from the stabilizers, because these are already in the base housings, which is actually a good way to know if they're Zeal stabilizers or not. They tend to ship this way. Okay, these are really tight. The other thing I did notice about the C3 stabilizers as well is I'm not a fan of having to screw directly into the plastic and have the screws cut their own threads. I much prefer the threaded inserts that you see on the Duroc and Zeal stabilizers. It already looks so nice. Yeah, it looks great, right? That's going to look wild. Yeah. Seeing the PCB through it, it's going to look great. I'm probably not going to send Goku this board back. I'm going to be honest. I'm probably going to steal it and quit keyboards forever, and just keep this board and not let him have it back. We will have to be really careful though, Goku, when we get you your carbon fiber one, because we're going to have to make sure that we cover the right parts up, open up the other parts of the board, and make sure that it's going to look its best through this polycarbonate. So let's make sure we work on that together. Frosted Flax is here as well. Good evening, Frosted Flax. First time catching the stream live. Love the vids and content though. Thank you very much, dude. Appreciate that. That's Scrubsy TV. Thank you, dude. Can we also take a second to appreciate that PCB? That's what a PCB for a poly build should look like. Yeah, it's not green, right? I'm a big hater of green PCBs for polycarbonate boards. Aren't Duroc the company that made the fake Zeal? You know, Zeals? Yes, they are, but they now make their own range of switches, and there's other manufacturers doing all the same kind of stuff as well. So as I say, you pay your money, you take your choice. That's entirely up to you how you want to perceive it, and how you want to take a look at it. Which screwdriver am I using? So this is a Wukong. It's also known as a Wahai. It's really rather good. Lots of different bits for it. I might have to just change that to a slightly larger one. Just getting a little bit of slippage. There we go. Just give him a Fial, yeah. I'd give him a JO2 for this. I'd probably do that. I'd probably swap him a JO2 for it. Not that the JO2 is running yet. In fact, actually, Gasp, you need to tell me if you're still up for building a JO2 on stream now that we've seen how hard the boards can be to put together. Transparent PCB would be best, yeah. These are Zeal stabilizers, Frosted Flex. Relic, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime sub. Really appreciate it, my man. Thank you. Anyone else who's got Twitch Prime, don't forget you do have a Twitch Prime sub. If you'd like to give it to Clack, you can do that. If you'd like to give it to another streamer, please do support someone with it though. Yeah, we're all trying our best to bring you great content. So please do make sure you use your Twitch Prime subs and don't let them lapse. Use them on somebody. Okay, so we are going to use, as I said before, some 205 grade 0 on these particular stabilizers. This is how Pub Goku's requested them to be done. Personally, I would always use dielectric grease, but I'm going to respect his wishes and lube these in the old-fashioned way. So I'm going to put a small amount of lube just on the inside of each housing. Not too much, just enough to remove any friction. So just making sure we put a nice, smooth, even coat on there on the inside of these. And then once we've built these up, we'll make sure that they're tuned and all feeling good and even. So we've done one for backspace, now we're doing one for the ANSI enter. Whenever you're lubing these guys, it's always better to add too little lube at the beginning and then add to it if it doesn't feel quite right. It's much easier to add lube than it is to remove it, so just make sure you're doing it that way. White PCBs only look good if you clean them properly. IMO, yes. I like blue PCBs personally. I'm a big proponent of blue PCBs. Now moving on to the right shift stabilizer. It's always worthwhile keep track of which stabilizers you're doing. Make sure you're doing just the right amount of parts. No point in doing too many or too few. Did I miss comparing the stabs? Yes, you did. Sadly, we compared GMK, we compared Zeal, we compared Duroc or Everglide stabilizers, and we compared the C3 stabilizers. The outcome was that C3 was probably in third place out of the four once lubed, GMK coming last, and the Duroc / Everglides and Zeals being pretty much on par in terms of smoothness and rattle once it's been lubed. The difference there is that there's a lot of failures out of the box on the Duroc ones, and the Zeals are a higher price. So you pay your money, you take your choice in terms of that perspective. That being said, the C3 ones are pretty much okay. They're absolutely usable. They're not going to be the best, but if you want to colour match a build, or if you want to have a budget build or something like that, then they're absolutely worthwhile purchasing and using. But please make sure you do lube them well, because them unlubed is not a good experience. Okay, so we've done the spacebar. We're now doing the right shift. Sorry, the left shift even. We've got backspace, anti-enter. We've got the right shift. We've got the spacebar, and now we're going to be doing the left shift. Okay. Last one. Then we'll move on to assembling the stabilizers, completing the rest of the lube job, and then from there we'll put them in the PCB. Give that a bit of fluff. Okay, that's all of the housings lubed. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pop them together, and once we pop them together, we'll then lube the inserts on the sides. And the way we put them together is we just pop the insert inside the housing. There's two holes on one side of the insert. That goes to the front, which is where the wire clips into the housing. You can see on that side there are two holes when it focuses. There you go, two holes on that front side. And there's just one on the rear. There we go. Then we're going to clip a wire in. Then I'm going to build up the next side and clip the wire in again. So I should have had baby wipes on hand because my hands are going to get really greasy now. Talisman Solution says a roll the dice. Stab assessment wasn't such a major deal. Zeal wins. Yeah, it does. That's pretty much the outcome. Zeal wins. I do wish that the GMK stabbers of old were available because they would probably still be king when it comes to bang for buck and every other consideration that we have to put in there. I wouldn't say C3 stabs were a letdown. I just think it's nice to have more options on the market. It'd be nice if they were a little bit more robust, a little bit better, especially straight out of the box. But you know, we are where we are. It's just nice to have new materials being tried and things like that. So one of the interesting things is the new ZISP stems that are UHMWPE. I would like to try some stabilizers made out of that material as well, if possible. Perhaps that's something I need to speak to ZISP about, see if we can work something out and get some of those made up. Okay. Just enough stabilizers here. If we were building ISO, we'd have used one fewer stabilizer because we would have done full right shift and split left shift, but we're doing full of both shifts here because whilst Goku does want this board to ultimately be ISO, the only plate we have available today is an ANSI one. That's now all of our stabilizers put together. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to lube the sliders, and then we're going to make sure we put some lube inside them to prevent them from rattling. So again, back to taking some lube on the brush, and then we're just going to paint on each side of the insert. Again, just a light coat, it doesn't have to be too much. Always easy to add more lube later on rather than take it away. And once we put this lubricant on, we'll then lube inside where the wires are. We'll push the brush inside where the wires are. Then did custom make an ISO one from a bit in the rush. He sent me the wrong plate. Yeah, I think Lynn thought that he'd cut all ISO plates that day and just put one in the package for you, and it turned out that he cut just one ISO one and all the rest were ANSI. Okay. Making good progress now, guys. Once these are done, we'll pop these in the build, and then we'll go from there with the rest of it. Okay, making good progress. Rama stabs are back to the drawing board or something. I think really heavily laid. Yeah, I'm really should try the Rama stabs because they're different. I don't think it's any secret that I've been trying to work on something as well for stabilizers. So now we're just going to go and insert a good quantity of lube up the inside the stabilizer and make sure that we completely cover where the wire goes. Should help eliminate any rattle that we have. The ones I've been working on are more of a compliance system than a stabilizer that we're used to seeing, and I do think that that's probably where we need to go. We need to think out of the box and start thinking new opportunities for stabilizers rather than just bits of metal and plastic. There's definitely better ways of doing things, and that's definitely something that I want to try out. So we'll see where we get to on that. I've got some basic designs. I'll try 3D printing some and see how they go, and if they work out well, then I might get some actually produced. Yeah, clear stabs was definitely the right choice for this particular board. Whoops. And this is going to use up the last of my stock of 205 grade 0, I think. I have to buy some more. So Necrowoman, my keyboard.eu, I will be adding that to my order that we talked about the other week that still hasn't shipped. Just realised that this one isn't quite in the housing correctly. Be able to add some lube to my order now it's in stock. Restocking tomorrow. My keyboard.eu. Glad Rama is taking the time to go through revisions and make them right though. Absolutely, yeah. There's nothing worse than rushing a product out onto market that doesn't work as intended or as expected. I'd much rather people do the due diligence. That's those all lubed up now, guys. We are fully lubed in terms of those stabilizers. We'll tune them if they need tuning, but I think we'll be good from that perspective now. Just came, how was the C3 stabs? The C3 stabs are mediocre at best. They are not as good as a Zeal or Everglide stabilizers, but they are better than GMK stabilizers right now. My view would be that they would probably sit third in my choice list. I would pick Zeals and Durox probably evenly, depending on whether I want high cost and good quality, or whether I want a lower cost and potentially accept that a couple may or may not work. And C3 would come in behind those, and then GMK behind those at the minute. That's probably the way I'm looking at things at the minute. Okay, next job now is to pop all of these into the plate, into the PCB rather. Okay, trying to work out where everything needs to go here. So that's backspace. Now I'm trying to work out where the ANSI enter ones need to go. How bizarre. It's because it's flipped on this particular PCB. That confused me for a second. I didn't expect them to be the wrong way around. And then the spacebar, we're going to go for the 7U option. Which goes just there. Oh, okay, so those don't clip in. We'll come back to those. We'll get the other screwed in first, and we'll come back to those. Try not to get grease everywhere. So I might have to dig out some little washers. The one good thing about the C3 stabilizers is that they do come with washers. So if you do need any washers or anything like that, they come in these little boxes, and you get like a little bag full of washers and things like that. Probably going to use a couple of these washers just with these stabilizers because I'll need them. That over the screw. Okay. Shouldn't be any issues in terms of cross contamination up here. No shorting issues. Again, when you're tightening these up, you're not trying to squish the PCB. You don't want to go too tight, guys. You just want to go tight enough that you're holding the stabilizers against the case. Too tight and you could risk damaging the PCB. Then you got a lot of C37. I just got a pack of each colour, yeah. How about Everglides? Everglides are up there. Probably my number 2 right now, Bertie. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, so 10 strong around something completely different. The idea I have for stabilizers using compliant systems is very, very different to what we've seen on the market previously. Whoops. Don't know how I managed to rescue that, but I did. Okay, that's looking okay. Just the spacebar I want to go. Again, just trying not to pinch the PCB here. Just trying to make it sit nice and snug. I'm going to get a cloth and just wipe these fingerprints off in a second. Try and keep this PCB as nice and clean as possible. That's the reason why my keyboard sold out. Jay's using it all. Maybe. I don't know if I've ever actually bought lube from my keyboard before. I must have done at some point. I tend to buy a lot of my stuff via work. But as I've got an order that's just about to go in, I should probably add all of that at the same time. Right, okay, I'm just going to get a cloth and just clean this PCB up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to clean my fingers first, actually. Excited to see the PC whale. Well, there it is on screen. This is the PC whale. Okay, let's give this a bit of a clean. Don't want to make sure we've got no fingerprints, get the grease off. Okay, all looking good. Okay, there we go. Just give that a try now. Okay, almost there, guys. Then we can carry on with the build. Got to make sure this is looking good on a polycarbonate type board. We can always come back and do the underside later on as well if there's any remaining residue. Okay, there we go. It's all looking pretty okay. Let's dry these bits on top. Okay, there we go. Looking good. Cool. Okay, let's catch up with chat and see what we're talking about. Orange Josh is finally here. Yep, cool. It's a lube from Drop worth buying. I've never bought any lube from Drop, I'll be honest. Just Krelbit's usual stuff. Fair enough. Okay, I didn't realise that they'd got that now. Okay. It's where they dunk their woolly pandas in. Yeah. How much are they selling it? An ounce? That seems like a lot. That seems like a lot. Yeah. I just get mine through work. We've got part of one of the supplier things that we have at work provides us with lubricants and things, so it's just easier for me to order it from there usually. But I will be ordering some from mykeyboard.eu. Okay guys, so now we've done that, we can lay the plate over the top. And we can see that that's all lining up rather nice and neatly. The next thing to do is to start to take the switches, which I've put to one side, and start to pop these in the board. The first thing I'm going to do is just use the ones in the F row that we know aren't great switches. Just because of the fact that they're old and you can't cherry pick in terms of switches too much when you've only got a limited range of switches to work from. Just trying to make sure that these sit in the plate nicely. Might have to take the plate off here. There we go. Okay. Again, try not to put too many fingerprints all over this plate. The plate is very flexible. It's bending an awful lot as I'm trying to put any pressure on it. Be a very, very flexible build. Just try and spread all these switches out across this top row. Make sure they're all clipped in nicely. Okay. From there, what we're going to do is just pop a switch in each corner. Make sure that everything is nice and neatly aligned for when we start to solder the board together. I'm just going to go where we've got a single switch rather than necessarily going in the actual corners, just so we know we've got a fixed position. Man, this plate's incredibly flexible. Pop a couple in the middle. People aren't really thinking, oh, I wonder about the density of Crytexes when they see 1 ounce. Well, depends on what the temperature is outside when you measure it as well. So you should always fill up your car on a warm day rather than a cold one, because fuel takes up less space when it's warm. Okay. Going to pop a couple of switches in here, and the idea here is that when we put these in the PCB, these will actually support the rest of the plate upwards, even though it's so flexible, and just make it a little bit easier to solder and to push everything together. Okay. Now we've got these in, we're going to pop these into position. I'm going to push these switches into the PCB. Make sure that we even all the way around. Okay, it's all looking good. We should be able to now start popping switches in a little bit more willy-nilly, and they should start supporting each other. Just making sure the plate stays aligned on these switches as well. Everything's looking good. As soon as you start to get more switches in, they'll all start to support each other and keeping the plate raised in the right areas. Again, these old switches, they've been desoldered from another board, so they do take a little bit of playing around with, because there are some bent stems and there's some switches that have got a little bit too much old solder on. but we'll be all good. They learn something even if you try and Google and say 10 grams to milliliters, you get the same answer, but I believe you. Okay. I think that measurement's at room temperature at sea level, but if you change elevation and you change temperature, things are gonna be different. It's not always as simple as it seems. I thought it was a Scottish who were notoriously frugal and had tried to confirm with my Scottish friend, but he refused to accept charges on person-to-person collect call. Yes. Okay, starting to make some good progress now, guys. Really excited to see what this board looks like when it's fully built. But I think it's going to look pretty damn good. Some classic switches. Classy looking board. Okay. I think this is definitely going to look better than the aluminium plates in the board right now, because that's quite visible and it's quite untidy looking in this sort of cluster area here, whereas this board, this PCB is going to fit right into that gap. And then of course DMG on there to finish it off as well. I think personally, if I was going to keep this board, I'd probably go with OG keycaps, something like that. But that's just me. Feel free to agree or disagree in chat, but I think OG keycaps will look good. Gio's sending me a link. Oh man, that looks great. That looks really good. JO1 there. And guys, you could win a JO1 if you buy a raffle ticket. I won't stop shilling that. That looks really good. And Gasp, I'm not sure if you're still watching, but you can see where that reset button is through the PCB in Gio's picture, but I'm sure you noticed that last night after I dropped off stream. It just means that you don't need to take the board apart to be able to reset the PCB. Yeah, they are really bright. Are they Zelio stems in Yok Panda's housings? Is that what they are, Gio? Purple C3 stabs as well. Yeah, I think you've probably made the best choice using those ones. Office lighting is garbage. No, I think they look great. I think they look great. Okay. Starting to make some good progress now. The plate is very, very flexible, but it's starting to hold up the switches because there's just more and more switches in there. So as I'm putting them in, the plate's actually holding up nicely now. Everything's looking as though it's sat nice and flush. We'll check it against the PCB shortly. Hopefully, as we start to flesh out from the middle of this board, everything will just support itself, and whilst the plate's still really flexible, it'll become more rigid upon itself. Just going to lift that up a little bit there. There we go. Doesn't feel like that switch was quite close together properly, and also it's got a slightly bent pin. Felt a little bit different going into the plate, so do be aware as you're pressing them, guys, that they might feel a little bit different as you put them in the plate. If anything does feel slightly unusual or strange, it's a good idea to stop and take stock of what you're doing and making sure that everything's correct before you carry on. Okay. Looks nice. Jealous. I'm really jealous of this board, and I was really jealous of the Matrix OG, the 1.2 OG that we built a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, boards I've never considered purchasing myself, and now I see others with them, and it's like, yeah, I'll probably get hold of those. Confuse the shit out of anyone seeing the built board out of context. They wouldn't be sure whether they stumbled on something old or new. Yeah, and modern materials as well. They wouldn't maybe be able to tell you whether it was expensive or cheap either, because it's plastics and vintage switches. Going step caps, remember, guys, so there we go. Got the 1.5U wing keyless bottom row here. I will check that those are in the right place as well before I start soldering. The last thing I want to do is desolder this to resolder the bottom row. Duckham says, is there any board you wished you bought that you didn't? Yes, the Doro 67. I am no stranger to talking about my loathing for that particular board. I think 1.5U goes here, and then should be there, I think. We'll check these in a second, make sure everything's correct. And then we've got the Nixie switch for spacebar. I'm just going to grab some modifier keys from a random key set. Just make sure we've got everything correct. Okay, so that wants to move over slightly. Okay, that's all looking good there. That's all looking good there. Okay, great. Okay, so that's all of the board put together. Or certainly all of the switches in the board anyway. I think there's a few bits that add a little charm. The QC Pass logo just there looks really rather smart. I think that makes it adds to the look of the board. Everything else is looking really rather nice and tasty. No fingerprints on the plastic, thank the maker. So there we go. Build the door. I want to see a rant film stream, man. First off, the Doro was supposed to ship with a brass plate, and it was supposed to be PVD gold-plated brass. And the PVD was silver, not gold, and it was scuffed to hell. There was watermarks on it, there was scratches in it, there was even what looked like cat paw prints in it. So the plate was horrible. So I took the plate and I decided to strip off the PVD coating and take it back to pure brass. And at least I'd have a brass plate that way. So I sandblasted it in my sandblaster in the garage, and it turns out that it's not actually pure brass, it's actually a brass copper mix, but the mix hasn't been completed properly. So when you look at the plate, there's actually purple spots, which is where the copper hasn't mixed into the brass properly when they've melted down the metal. So that was that. The second thing is I bought one of 7 white ISO versions of the Doro 67 with the integrated plate, and the ISO version doesn't build correctly because the stab cutouts aren't quite right for the ISO version, so you have to Dremel the case for that. The second thing as well is that on the ISO version and one of the other versions as well, I forget which, the spacebar stabilizers cutouts were not done correctly either, so they also need to be Dremeled out too to prevent the stab wire from hitting the housing on its return to full height. So yeah, so all of those things in mind, and bearing in mind that mine was scuffed as hell when I got it, just completely put me off building it. I think I got mine in August and I haven't even taken it out of the box since then because I'm just really not happy about it. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, it's just a QC pass sticker, but I think it looks quite nice on the PCB just there. I think it adds to the character of the build of the board. Just a QC pass sticker. Okay, so that's that all put together. Everything's looking good, all pushed together nicely. Just double check all of these keys, make sure everything is pressed in nice and firm. And then we're just going to check and make sure that everything is aligned. So we're just going all around the case at the minute and making sure everything's aligned nice and neatly. It's looking rather good from all 4 sides. Just going to go through and check that we've got 2 pins showing on each switch now. So I'm just checking through, make sure we've got no bent pins. I do see one with a bent pin up here, so I'm just going to remove that switch now. And then carry on checking. I'll come back to that in a second. Okay, all looking good so far on the first row. Just going checking back up the second row now, making sure we don't have any bent pins. Another bent pin just there. Hold on. Which one was that? That switch there. Okay, carry on checking. Bent pins are that easy to fix. We'll just bend them straight, put the switches back in. Again, these are old switches. And this does account for it sometimes. So just another one just here. Okay, coming back down now. Man, should have checked these switches for bent pins before I started for them. There we go. There's nothing like building with new pins. Switches, new switches are always easier to build with. Okay. Just where some of these have been desoldered, they don't quite fit through the gap. Okay, coming back along this row now. One more just here. Okay. And then last row, just double check all of these. I think these all look good. Okay, we'll just straighten these up, and you can see just underneath that the pins have just bent flat. We're just going to literally prise that up. Make sure it's nice and straight. And we're just going to pop it back in the board, like so. Okay, almost there now, and then we can crack on with some soldering. And then we'll take the board apart, have a look at the internals for the board. And then from there, we'll make sure that everything's nice and neat and tidy as we put the board together. I have a Doro and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I'm glad that some people have boards that have nothing wrong with it. I'm hoping that everyone's got their boards now as well, because I did get a lot of people saying that I should be thankful that I actually have my board, even if it is scuffed, rather than complaining about it being scuffed. So I hope everyone has got their boards now. Oh dear. Alf made but not Alf designed. Yes. Can't say but want to say you look absolutely fabulous today. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Is Jay building your OGR Proto soon, or were you just going on a mandate? It was just a mandate yesterday, but I will be doing a build at some point. Maybe in the new year. We'll see. We'll see. Flashbacks to Leaf 60 PC hockey rink scratches. Yeah. Yeah. Either the people with good ones are just not vocal, or I have the only good one. Perhaps you're the only good one. Yeah. Okay, so now we've done all of that, guys, we are going to solder this board. We're going to pop everything into the plate, make sure everything's good. We're going to solder the board now. Get the good old trusty soldering iron up to temperature. Get the solder ready. First thing we're going to do is just solder each of the corners, and then from there we're going to solder the couple in the middle, and then we'll go row by row. Okay, that's one switch done. I'm going to come over to the other side. Down to the bottom. And then I'm just going to fly over to this side. And do a couple in the middle. And just hold everything nice and steady. Okay, and now we're just going to go row by row and solder all of these switches in place. Okay. Now's the time, guys, if you've got any questions to ask away, do tag me in chat and ask your questions away. I'm open to any question, doesn't have to be keyboard related, can be personal or otherwise. As long as it's stream safe, you are more than welcome to ask it. Although I do reserve my right to not answer certain questions. As soon as I've soldered this row, I'll start to have a look and see if you guys have got any questions or thoughts or concerns, and then we'll carry on with the soldering. Hopefully it shouldn't take us much more than 10 or 15 minutes to solder the board, and then we'll go from there. How much are the switches bought for? I'm not sure. You'd have to ask Pub Goku. I didn't buy these particular switches. You'd have to ask him. He's the owner. I suspect when that switch is got a bent pin as well. Missed that one. Just have to pull that out shortly. We'll come back to that one and do it last. But yeah, you'd have to ask Pub Goku on the price of the switches. These are not my switches. This is not my personal board. I am hoping that all of these switches are in fully working order because we don't have any spares. I might have some spares in my some spare Nixies in my jar actually, if we do get to that. First question from Mr. Petrov says, who was your favourite character from the Bill? I cannot remember any characters from the Bill, but I do remember watching it. So for those of you who don't know, the Bill was a TV show about the police in the UK. I can't even remember. It was based on a particular housing estate. I can't even remember the name of the housing estate. I do remember watching it with my parents when I was about 6 or 7, something like that, maybe a little bit older. I couldn't name any characters from it though. I can picture a couple, but I couldn't name them. I do remember the closing credits were of the police walking on a cobbled road as well. But that's all I can recall. Sorry, Mr. Petrov, that probably doesn't give you the answer that you'd like. Duckham says, Jay, how do you like the Lancia Delta Integrale Evolution? Yes, I love Lancias. I think they're great cars. I actually had one at one point that I was going to restore and then never got around to it, so I sold the chassis on. But I would absolutely love to restore one day. That would be a great car to do. I think my next car is going to be the Jensen Interceptor. I have a chassis, rolling chassis, some body panels, original engine, and a few other bits and pieces. So that's going to be my next car project after the Caterham. That's probably going to be a 2021 build, I would have thought by now. Okay. Angulf asks, what kind of soldering tip are you using? This is just the standard TS100 round tip, nothing special or untoward about it. It isn't any particular special tip, it's just the completely and utterly standard tip you get with the TS100. I do have some other ones. I use a chisel tip for SMD work, but for just regular through-hole soldering, I just use a standard round tip. Titanicus saying Sun Hill, that's the one, that's the estate that it was on. Yeah, Sun Hill Police Station, I do remember that now. I can remember the show. I can't remember. Was Reggie one of the characters in it? I want to say Reggie or something like that. I don't know. It's a long time ago, and it wasn't the best police drama. Gwedica says, thoughts about the changes to Formula 1 in 2021? I am excited for them. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm a big Formula 1 fan. In 2021, the regulations are going to change, the cars are going to change. They're going to have new engines, new designs. They're going to start using ground effects again, which is aerodynamics underneath the car, using things like Venturi tunnels and all sorts of other technological goodies, which is a vast difference from the cars that we have today, which are quite fragile and all based on aerodynamics. So I'm very, very excited to see those change. I suspect there will be a massive shift, seismic shift in terms of team competitiveness. So I'm excited to see that as well. We may not see the same Mercedes dominance that we've seen over the past 5 or 6 years. It might all change from that. And give a driver other than Lewis Hamilton a chance. As much as I like Lewis, it is a bit when the same driver wins every championship. Although kind of part of me now wants him to beat the Schumacher record of 7 championships. That would be interesting. I do think he should get his knighthood. But yeah. Shame the race today was not a little bit more exciting. Okay. Next question comes from Enemy's Friend saying, are these Top Clack business cards next to the Ocelot? Yes, that's exactly what these are. They're Top Clack business cards. I put these in all of the packages that I send. So there you go, Top Clack business cards. It was something I had made up for Brian and I when we had our redesign a few months ago. Anyone buys anything from me, it gets one of those in it at the minute, because I've got about 10,000 of them to get through. Okay. Probably about halfway through the soldering now, guys, so it shouldn't be too much longer before we're done. Next question comes from a Relic XD. Says, can you recommend a cheap soldering iron? So I really like the TS100. It depends on what you define as cheap. I think if you're going to use something on a weekly basis, 60, 70 British pounds is absolutely fine for a soldering iron. But if you're only going to ever use it once or maybe twice a year, then honestly any £5, £10, $15, whatever that is, soldering iron is going to do you. You don't need a high-end tool if you're just doing the job once or twice. Any low-end tool will do the job for you. As Jamie from Mythbusters used to say, buy the cheapest tool that you can that will do the job, and if you break the tool or wear it out, then clearly you need the better tool, so then buy the workman's version. My money would be on a TS100 for most people if you're going to do soldering outside of the odd keyboard. I use mine on my car, for example, and stuff like that when I'm doing wiring looms and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, that would be my advice. Duckcom says, I've got a AMG A45 Patronus Limited Edition. Saw an IC called GMK Silver Arrows. You think it will happen? Would fit me like a glove. I don't think that particular interest check had enough going for it. It was very limited. It only had renders done on keycap renders, which is a great resource, but it's not something that I would try and sell a key set based on. I never saw any updated renders, and you can't make metallic GMK caps because they refuse to do them. So without all of those, I don't think that there's any potential for that. But that being said, I would like to see a really good Formula 1 keycap set. I'm not sure how you would do it, but I would like to see one. Probably through the novelties, I'd guess. Almost there now, guys. Just on to the penultimate row. Oh, that's not my mouse. Most exciting upcoming group buys. Want to buy spelling. So, most exciting upcoming group buys. I am really, really excited for the JO2 because it's mine and I want to sell it. What else is coming up that I really like? I would have said GMK Olivia because I want to buy the dark kit and the ISO kit because it will actually fix my round 1 Olivia ISO keys, because the ISO kit had one key missing on the light set, so definitely want to buy that. In terms of boards, I'm hearing rumours that TGR might have something new coming soon, so I'll be interested to see what that looks like and how I might progress with that. I can't think of anything else that's coming that I'm absolutely going to have to must buy, especially from a board perspective. I think the problem is I buy just like too many things and then I forget about what's coming and what's not coming. I would like to buy a Lin board, I think now. If anything else comes up from them, I would definitely take a look at that. I can't think of any other group buys that I definitely want to join that I haven't already started. Probably some key sets, but there's so many of them these days that it's difficult to remember them all. Uh, 159 says, talk like, if you were to take Carl Pilkington on a date, where would you take him and what would we talk about? I would probably take him to a Formula 1 race and let him moan about the volume of the racetrack, the noise it makes, how loud it is, how stuffy and sweaty and horrible it gets. Or if we went to the British one, he could moan about the weather. That could be quite interesting. We could get him to try being a bit of pit crew, lifting heavy things, having to react quick, the smell of petrol, the smell of burning rubber. He'd probably be able to complain about all of those things, which would make for good TV. If I had to take him abroad, I'd probably take him somewhere freezing cold. So maybe go to Iceland, see the Northern Lights. Fail to see them because that'd be funnier. Get him all worked up about it. That kind of stuff, maybe. Chira says, what do you think of Crytox 107 for Lubing Springs? I've never used Crytox 107. The highest I've ever got is 106. So I couldn't comment on it. 106 is okay. I like it on springs, but I wouldn't use it on switches. Okay, last pin. We just need to go back and fix that one of them from earlier on. Vi just reminded me we didn't test this PCB. I tested this PCB prior to the show, so don't worry. His new series is not very good. Oh, that's a shame. Take him to Texas. Yeah, we could do Texas. Okay. Okay, there we go. You would have seen it on some Bingsu renders. Okay. I do have one switch that I just need to extract. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to heat the pin up whilst I pull the switch. Because we've soldered one pin already, so I'm just going to hold on to the switch. I'm just going to heat the pin and extract. Nice and gently. I'm just going to lift up the bent pin. Then we're going to insert this, and as we insert, we're just going to heat the pin up again. Drop it. Just gonna nestle it in properly. There we go. And then just solder the second pin now. And there we go. All done. Okay, now it is time to test the PCB again. Make sure all of these switches work. The PCB was completely fine before the show. If any of these don't work, it is likely to be these switches because they're just old and I have to replace them. I do have some spare Nixies that I can probably use for that. For Goku, if we revert to that, then we will discuss price later on how much that's going to cost. In fact, I'm just going to get up a switch hitter just so you guys can see. Let's see if you guys can see that now. There we go, that's switch hitter. I'm just going to plug this in and then we'll go through each of the switches and test them in turn. First of all, you can see that the PCB is working, all nicely lighting up. Okay, let's just change this to the correct layout. There we go. So let's go through and test these, and you should see them light up as we go through. So F3 is not working. We can have a look at that in a second. Okay, everything else on the top row is looking good. Everything on the number row is looking good. Okay, caps is working just fine. That row is all looking fine. Shift, ZX, C, V, B, N, M. Yeah, all looking good. Control, Alt, Space. All the arrows working. Okay, so every key is working apart from F3. So escape, F1, F2, F3. So just this key here is not working. So we'll take a look at that now. Okay, F1, F2, F3, okay. The first thing we'll try to do is just reflow the solder on that switch. Let's see how that goes. Kepler needs to finish and Kendo is next. Yeah, I'm not massive. I think I'm gonna go for a doppelganger rather than a Kendo. I think that's where my head's at right now. Purely because I like the macro keys on the left hand side. So escape, F1, F2, F3. Okay, let's just try reflowing this, see if this helps the switch work. If not, I think it's the switch rather than anything else. I'm just going to reflow the diode just in case we've caught that. There we go. We'll see if that works now. If this doesn't work, then I'm afraid, Pub Goku, it is the switch that doesn't work. In my professional opinion. Okay, so back into switch hitter. F1, F2, and F3 is still not working. F4 is. So I think that's a switch issue, Pub Goku. So I'll reach out to you after after the stream, and we'll work out what you want to do for that. I think I do have a Nixie in there, but it means desoldering the switch. If not, I can probably give you a Hirozi switch, and we can switch the escape for the F3 and put a Hirozi switch on escape. That might be something we can do as well. Not GS says Top Clacker was talking about the project keyboard queue and what's coming before the Valkyrie. Interesting, yeah, fair enough, yeah. So we've got Zambamon in chat as well, checking out what we're building. It's a Lin whale, polycarbonate whale, Zambu, and we're building it with Nixie switches. That sounds good to me. All right, Pubgoku, we'll talk about price for a Hirozi switch after the stream then, and I'll change that before I ship it out to you. So we'll just pretend the F3 key is working. As I say, it's the switch itself rather than anything else that's causing the issue. These are old switches, so... From here, what we're going to do now is we'll get rid of switch hitter, so you guys don't have to stare at that any longer. And we're now going to take the board apart. We'll put the build inside the board. Whilst we're taking the board apart, what we will do is we'll have a look at how the board is constructed and see what our thoughts are. Okay. Okay, so the first thing I notice is that we need the right size hex key. A little bit too small. This feels alright, see if we can go one higher. Yeah, that feels a bit more robust. So we're going to go with this. I'm just going to take all of these out of the board. Now this is a polycarbonate board and it is screwing directly into the polycarbonate. This is not using threaded inserts, which does worry me slightly because it means that you have to be spot on if you get anything cross-threaded. Wave goodbye to that thread. You can probably hear the creaks in the board as I'm unscrewing some of these. All of those done, the bottom should now lift off. Perhaps just double check that they're unscrewed. There we go. So I'm just going to gently tip this over and lose the screws out of it. Go. Just going to pop these to one side. One thing I do notice is that there is no screws in this build for the plate. So I was assuming that they would be inside the board. It appears not. So the plate that should screw in is just pressure fit into the case here. So this plate should be top mount as far as I can tell. Or perhaps it's not. Interesting. Okay, so first thing I just want to call out as well, guys, so on the inside of this, you see this with a lot of polycarbonate boards, you can actually see all the machining and tool paths if I angle this in the light. Now, this is something that you can remove, you can't feel it, and the board's very dusty inside as well, but you can see all of these kind of channels and paths. That's just, it's one of the problems of polycarbonate. When they sandblast these boards, they don't do the inside typically, because it's just another area to do, and that means that you do end up with these lines in here, which is where the tool path's basically gone round and milled out all of the internals. So sadly it's something that is going to be present on a lot of boards. These ones look particularly neat and tidy, so I think these ones are okay, but it's interesting nonetheless. Can you drill into a broken thread and add a brass insert? You can, Fnizzy, but when you're talking about an $800 board, it's a big risk to take. So there is no screw points to put this in, so it looks like it is just going to rest in there. It is going to feel quite flexible to type on, is this board. I'm just going to make sure it's all aligned correctly. Just making sure all of the tabs are in place. Okay, then we're just going to flip this over. screw that together from there. Just going to put this bottom corner in first and hold that in position as I screw it in. I'm only going to finger tighten that one. I'm not going to go too tight because then I'm going to come up to the opposite corner. Talisman Solution can get ready with his usual post at this point. And then as I come up to this top corner, I'm going to put this in, and I'm making sure that I'm aligning this on both sides here, making sure that's nice and even on both sides. Then I am going to fully tighten that one, come back down to this side, fully tighten it again, and then we're going to go diametrically opposed for each of the screws from this point onwards. We're going to go into that corner just there, and then we're going to come back down to this bottom corner here, and then we're just going to work our way from there, making sure that everything is nice and tight. Now, because we're screwing into polycarbonate, I don't want to over tighten anything. We are literally just making sure that things go finger tight and that it's held together nicely and that there's no bezel gap. If we over tighten, we risk threading, dethreading the screw, removing the screw thread from the case, which means that then you wouldn't be able to tighten that screw into the polycarbonate any longer. There he is. Diametrically opposed, counter diagonally, rotationally counter opposing, cross corresponding non-sequential, and counter crosswise. There we go. Interesting to note that there's one more screw along the back row than there is on the front. Here we go, guys. Last screw of the board. There we go. That's the board all now nicely put together. There you go, guys. You can see that that's just how this board is going to look, and I've got to be honest, that's an absolute beauty. That looks absolutely fantastic. What do you guys think? Lin Whale, polycarbonate, Nixie's, black Heine PCB, shiny, flexible PC plate. This is a beautiful board. Absolutely beautiful board. Whew. Okay, so I think it's time for some keycaps now. Isn't English a fine language? English is a fine language, yeah. I love English. So nice, looks amazing, looks so good, nice. She's very pretty, yeah. You ain't getting this back, Pabloku, let me be honest with you. I'm just going to keep this and not send it to you. It is now time for some keycaps. Now, we have been sent, in fact, actually, we need to put the rubber feet on the base, so I'm just going to flip this over. Pop the rubber feet in first. Nice pour-on feet. One in. That's two. There we go for three. And then a final one as well. And then we'll go from here and we'll start to put in the. There we go. Put on the keycaps. Whose board this is? It's Pub Goku's, he's in chat. I'm just saying, yeah. Really should have come with clear feet. I don't mind the black feet, it matches the black PCB. I would be tempted to use more OG keycaps myself than these. I've still not opened my set of DMG yet, I do need to do that. In fact, this feels like this is the first time that this set's been opened as well. There we go. Okay. So I guess Pub Goku, whilst we're building this, you need to decide which caps you want on where, whether you want the standard escape keys on or what, which accent keys you want where and stuff like that. So if you want to let me know if you want coloured or standard accent key, escape key, colour, accent or standard escape key, get that right, accent or standard enter key, And then in terms of the stepped caps lock, I think you've got two choices. I think you've got stepped caps or windowed stepped caps. If you let me know which of those you would like me to do, I will put those in place. He wants the accent mods. Okay. Okay, I think this is already opened because I had to get the keycap out for matching the paint. Use that and the escape key. Sounds good. That sounds good. Okay. I guess the next question is, do you want the mod or the alpha coloured pipe key? That's the next question. Got to match the infill. Okay, yeah. Coloured accent always win on this scent. Fair enough, yeah, okay. Yeah, we're not going to do the infill on stream, but I am going to infill this whale logo. I do want to make sure that I can infill with acrylic paint on polycarbonate without damaging the surrounding area before I do it. If that does happen, then I'm probably not going to use that. I'm probably going to use a silk emulsion instead, but that will mean buying some more paints, because that will remove very easily. So it's all about going from there. Alpha pipe. Well, it depends on what Pub Goku says it's his board. So, so Pub, do you want the modifier or the alpha coloured pipe key? And this is an exceptionally good Christmas present to yourself. I'd be thoroughly impressed with that. This board has you broke. Well, if you need to offload it. Come on, Pub Goku. Which key do you want here? Do you want the mod or the alpha coloured one? Builder's choice. Okay, I'm just going to go for the alpha coloured one because it's there. Caps lock. I think you said windowed caps lock, so we'll go for the windowed caps lock. Builder's choice. No. Okay. You can tell Jay has never watched Dragon Ball Z. I've never watched Dragon Ball Z. I have no idea what that is. Gasp, this build is that exact thing. Yes, this is crazy good. I'm very jealous of this board. It's rare I build for other people, and I'm starting to do it more and more often. Not because I'm buying less, because my boards are just stacking up in the corner and getting bigger and bigger pile, but just because there's so much more new stuff out there and I can't buy everything anymore. Almost there now from the build's perspective. A couple minutes and then we'll do a sound test. We'll see what she sounds like and then we'll finish up. Pusher says that's a nice car you could buy there. Yeah, right? There is a fair amount of money gone into this build. All it needs now are some OG die subs. I agree. I would put OG die subs on this thing. I would put. I'd have it as an ISO board, and I'd put OG die subs on it if it was mine. And I think this board will get made ISO at some point. That's Pub Goku's preference is ISO. It just doesn't have those available at the minute. That plate available. So. Okay. We need the 7U spacebar out of here. Okay, I think we're all looking good there. Move these keycaps out of the way. I guess one of the things that we should do is quickly weigh it. So I'll make sure you guys can see this. So this weighs a grand total of 1.66 kilograms. That is £3, just shy of 11 ounces. So £3, 11 ounces. So it's pretty weighty. It's not exactly light, but it's not a heavy board either. So there you go. There we go. Don't think it works to weigh on a soft surface. Of course it does. Of course it does. It's completely fine. I'm not lifting my mat up to do it. It's close enough. I'm not recording it anywhere, so you're fine. Everyone's always got to complain about something. Everyone's always got to complain about something. It'll be a couple of ounces out, if anything. Okay, let me pause the music. Because the next thing we need to do is do a bit of a sound test and see what you guys think. Now, as always, yes, my typing's not correct. I don't use the right style. I don't use my thumb for spacebar. But hey, it works for me. So get rid of your get rid of your comments on that one now. Backseat builders rise up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It looks great, right? I mean, just before I do a typing test, how good does this look? I mean, I've got to be honest. This board is absolutely stunning. I'm very, very, very impressed with it. And when we get the engraving matching this colour here with the paints that I've done, then it'll be even better. Okay, so without much further ado, let's do a bit of a sound typing test. Okay. Wow. Okay. That sounds great. That sounds phenomenal. Chad, yes, I told you before I use it. That sounds great. That sounds phenomenal. The switches aren't fully consistent. I mean, we've lubed them as best we can. Sadly, with these Vints, because they're Nixies, you can't pick and choose and cherry pick. We did to an extent, but a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, and they're going to feel fantastic all over. So yeah, I think that's great. Let's see what chat thought of it. Looks so fresh. The spacebar sounds lovely. Love that pop. I approve of this sound. Yeah, lovely sound. Sounds very nice. The sound of a good linear board. Yeah, it sounds great, right? So satisfying. Looks like Jay's playing whack-a-mole. Alright, okay, fine. Calm down on my typing. Slam that space. Yeah, I do slam it. There's no ping. Just switch noise. That's all I can hear. And reverberation through the desk. There's it's a very dense sounding board. I think the copper weight helps that. It sounds really good, really good. It's only the ping of the register with every key click. Yeah, there's no ping, it's just switch noise. Yeah, what loop for the switch is 205 grade 0. Yeah, I'm really impressed with it. Did you test Durox stabs? Yes, the Durox struck Everglide stabs. Yes, we did that. J score time sounds amazing. I swear boards need to break in as crazy as it sounds. Yeah, some boards do need to break in. Really good sounding, especially the spacebar. It sounds fantastic, right? The plate in this is polycarbonate. It's a polycarbonate plate. More click than thock. Yes. How does one buy this keyboard? Get very lucky, Kaz, and go onto the Lin Discord server and hope that you can find one. About to travel to the UK just to steal that board. Don't mind me. Yeah, you're more than welcome to come over, and I was going to steal it as well, so perhaps we steal it together. Gasp, and yeah, we'll sort that out. Plum, you've got a great board here, and when we get this infill done to match this colour, then it will be even nicer. Okay, but without much further ado, before we finish the stream off, we do need to give this a J score. So if I unmute this and unhide this, I'm going to pop the keyboard front and center so you can see it. There we go. Just make sure you guys can actually see it, and I'm going to type over here. So we have got the Lin Whale, and these are Nixies, and the plate is PC. So in terms of the ease of build, this is pretty easy to build. I don't think I would disagree. So if you guys want to give me a score out of 10 for how difficult or hard this was to build, you can start now. Looking at timestamps at 22:08, so you've got until 22:09 to post these. Scores out of 10, 0 to 10. Personally, I think this was pretty easy to build. I'm going to give it an 8. No difficulties here, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing too worrying to build. Pretty easy from my perspective. When is the next keyboard shootout? Maybe in a couple of weeks. Go on, guys, give it a J score. I'll give you another 30 seconds or so to pop a number in there. We'll figure out visitation rates. It's like a child, eh? I haven't tested the C37U stamps yet. No, I haven't tried any space bars with them yet. Okay, guys, you guys have given it a few scores there. We're going to pause there, so no more scores on this particular one. I think I see an 8, an 8, a -5. I'm going to ignore that. That's way outlandish. An 8, a 5. Talisman thinks it's perfectly average. A couple more 8s. 7 from 10 strong. 8, 8, 9s, 9s. What made the Matrix so hard to build? The Matrix had a problem with the daughter board that went under here for the LEDs. It was not clear on how it was supposed to be mounted on the board, and it took about 30 minutes of faffing around to make sure that that was correct. The price of what you're dealing with is the difficulty IMO. Can't get one to build. Yeah, okay. So I think you guys were broadly on an 8 there. As I say, I'm still working on a bot to get this ready for it. What did you guys think of the packaging? So we're looking for 2210 timestamps now. What did you think to the packaging? So when we opened it up, we had all of this lovely brown paper. We had the black box, all of that kind of good stuff. So let me know what you guys thought to the packaging. So in terms of the actual packaging, it was all nicely boxed in here with thick padding everywhere. Lots of nice Lin logos on the boxes. Whoops. As you can see, the inside box also had the Linworks logo on as well. Let me know what you guys think. I think the packaging's pretty good. I think I think it's pretty good. I'd give it an 8. I think the ANSI is probably the highest one I've had on that, and that probably score an 9.5. So I'm going to go for an 8. Okay, stop scoring on this one, guys. Let me catch up with chat, see what you're going for. Vogon was the first one. He said an 8. 7 from Hui, 6.9 from Fabi. Kaz says, do you have a budget keyboard buying guide? I don't actually. It's something I want to write, so we'll come back to that. Duckcom says 5 just for the packaging. That's low. Daj thinks 5 as well. Okay, so I think it's perfectly average. Tenstrong thinks 7. Durza thinks 7. 9 from Captain Lutra. Okay, 6.5. A genuine 9 from Pub Goku. Yeah, okay. Lucky Potatoes is 9. 6.5. 8. 7. 9. 8. 7. 12 from Jay. Discount that. Keep them between 1 and 10, please, folks. 7, a little better than KBD fans. 7, box is nice and padded. Would have scored higher if there were more branded bags or seals. Okay, interesting. Okay, so I think you guys are probably overall. There's a couple of 9s, a couple of 8s, a couple of 5s in there. So I think you guys are probably around a 7 on this one overall. I think you're a little bit lower than I am. First impressions then, guys. So we're looking for a 22:12 or a 12 minutes past the hour timestamp, depending on where you are in the world for this one. So marks out of 10 for the first impression. What do you think the first impression of this? So when I first opened the board and showed you this, what did you think? Did you think this was a good looking board? Did you think it wasn't a good looking board? How would you score that out of 10? For me, the first time I saw this, I was thoroughly impressed. It was way nicer than I was expecting, so I'm going to give this an 8.5. Personally, that's why I think I fit on this one. Give you guys another 10-15 seconds to answer that one. This is on the first impressions, guys. What do you think the first impressions is? Enemy's Friend packaging is both. How fancy the box is and how good it protects its contents, both. It's crap if it looks great but it doesn't protect your board, and it's great if it protects your board but it lets you down a little bit if in fact it doesn't look nice. Okay, we'll stop there then, guys. Let's see what you guys have come up with. So Vogon says 9, and our Bigfoot says 9, 9, 9, 7. A couple of 8s in there, an 8.5, 9, 9, 9, a 10, and a 7. A genuine 8 looks much better in person than I expected when I opened it. Okay, so I think you guys are probably a little bit higher than me here. I guess, oh, I don't know, yeah, I guess 9s, 7s, 8s, 10s, 9s. I think you guys are probably closer to a 9 on that one. We'll go for a 9 there. Okay, so next score then, guys, into the home scoring section. So this is where you guys give me a score based on its value. If I told you that this was worth $650 and each of the switches was worth about $5 and the keycaps were probably worth $200, giving you a grand total of probably somewhere in the region of about $1,500, would you think that the value of that board was particularly high? So 4 means it's absolutely worth every single penny. Sorry, so 10 means it's absolutely worth every single penny. It's a really good value for money. Something lower like a 2 or a 1 would mean that it's not worth the money that you've paid for it, and it absolutely isn't worth that. So you guys go with that. Nixies can be $5 a piece. Yeah, the spacebar Nixie is usually about $30 for a white Nixie. So yeah, so you guys post on this one. This is a difficult one for me because I really like the board, but when I come to try and justify the money for it, I think it's a little bit expensive for what it is. I'm probably going to give this a 3 personally. Okay, I'll give you guys another 10 seconds. No, Tuck's not kidding about the price. $5 a switch, give or take. $650 for the board, give or take. Keycaps, $200, give or take. That's pretty much what you're looking at. Okay, stop there then, guys. Let's go through this. 4 from 10 Strong, 3 from Tastalo, 3 from Haj, 7 from Doc. He thinks it's great. He thinks it's well worth the money. Pub Goku 5. Okay, I think that's pushing it a little bit. A couple more 3s. The keeper's worth, the switches no. Fair, Fabi Rock, fair. First come out says 5, 5.5, a 2, a couple more 4s, a 3, a 10. Imagine all the updos. I'm not sure you could judge it just on the updos, excuse me. 3.5 from Talisman. Nixies throw off the price to me. They do, but that's what's in the board, guys. That's what's in the board. 2.71828 says Miguel. Okay, 650 for just the board seems actually a little low. No, it's about right for the board. Okay, so you guys probably, there's a couple of 7s in there and things, and a lot of 4s and things like that as well. So I think you guys are probably a little bit higher than me. I think you guys are probably closer to a 3.5 overall. Okay, so in terms of style, that's going to be the next one that we're going to look at. Marks out of 10, guys, for a style. So we're looking for a 22, 16, or 16 minutes past the hour timestamp, depending on where you are. Marks out of 10 for style. Is this a stylish board? Does it look stylish? What do you think to it from a style perspective? Try and show that off without hiding it underneath the... I'll show you the copper base. How stylish is the board? Personally, I think it's pretty good looking. I think I'm going to give it a 7.5 from a style perspective. Okay, I'll give you guys another 10 seconds. Aftermarket prices for a PC well seem to be 700 plus without the PCB even. Yes, absolutely. My $30 budget book got 4.5k up to. Does that make it the best value keep ever? Maybe, maybe. Pound per do is pretty good on that one. Okay, so stop there, guys. Let's see what you guys give it. Right, so we've got 9, 7, 7, 10, 3 10s. Wow, okay. Miss Petrol gives it a 7, 6 9s, 2 from Lucky Potatoes. He's not a fan. That's fair. That's fair, dude. 6, 7.5, 8, 8.5, 9, 9, 8, 8. It's a plastic TKL. It is, yes. 7, 4, 9, 9. 10 Strong trying to change it. 7, 9. Okay, so 4 from Clever Lion. Yeah, okay, so there's a bit of a range of scores there. I think you guys are probably a bit lower than me overall, although there's a few 9s in there and a couple of 10s. There's a couple of 7s, a couple of 4s. I'm going to guess that realistically you probably average around a 7. I think that's fair. We're just looking at the M65B. Now it looks cheap. Absolutely, yeah. I think the first time Rama works is cheap. Fair enough. Okay, so next thing then is the quality. What does the quality look like? So when we look at the machining, the actual production value of the board, what do you think from a quality perspective? Look at the gaps, the seals, the machine marks on the inside that we saw earlier on, the marks on the weight. What do you think to the quality? The angles of crispness. Have a look here, guys. What do you think in terms of the quality of the board? So I'm not going to try and lead you on that, but I think it's quite good quality. Everything is really nicely done. The threads are really strong. The PC feels nice. It was a little bit dusty inside, but that could have just been one of those things. I think from a quality perspective, I'm probably going to give it a solid 8. Okay. Can I do a closer shot of the weight? Sure. Here you go. Try and get it on camera. There you go. It's a closer shot of the weight. It is copper. It is patinating quite nicely. Okay, stop there again, guys. Let's take a look at this and see what you guys think. 8 was great. 7.5, 7.5, couple of 8s, couple of 9s, couple of 7s. No inserts, loses 1.5 marks for PC. I'd agree on that, actually. A 9.5, at least an 8. 9s, 8s. The weight is a bit annoying with the stains. I like that, though. I like them to get that, so it depends on what your personal thoughts is. By the way, weights usually don't come stain. Oh, okay, interesting. There you go. 7s, 6s. That's how raw copper is going to be. Agree. It is going to tarnish. It's going to patinate. Yeah. Okay, so I think a couple of 8s, couple of 7.5s, 9, 7. Okay, so probably averaging around an 8, 9.5, 8, 9, maybe an 8.5. 7 and a 6.5, maybe an 8 overall. I think 8 overall, so you're in line with where I am as well. Next, guys, the big one, typing sound. How did you like the sound of it when we're typing? So looking for a 20 minutes past the hour timestamp for this. Okay, so this is easy for me. It's just as good as the Prophet. It sounds fantastic. I really like the sound of it. It sounds great. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 10. Personally, a 10. Let's see what you guys said. Stop points scoring now. Let's go for that. Duckcom gives us a 6. Jay says 9.9, 9, 10, 10, 10, 8, 9. Okay, so it's probably around about a 9 from that. A 9, a 9.5, another 10, a couple more 9s, 9.5, an 8.23, Petrov, let's keep it to whole and halves, an 8, a 9, a 10, a 9.5, a 9, a 9, a 9, an 8, a 9.999, let's keep that as a 10, let's just say that's a 10. Probably the highest score I've ever given so far. All I could think would be better than mods on row 1 to row 3. Fair enough, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, that's a fair assumption. 9.23 as well from Ashley. 9. Okay. Took 2 to go. See you later, man. Take care. Thanks very much. So I think you guys are a little bit lower than me, actually, because not everyone agrees on this. I'm going to put you guys down for a 9.5. I think you guys think it's a little bit lower than that. Typing feel. So you guys are going to have to trust me on this. Now, what I will say is this has got quite a soft bottom out. There is a fair amount of flex. I'm going to try and show you that flex now. So if I press this key in fully, you can see there is a reference point. There is a bit of flex in there. If I try and press here, you might see a bit more. I don't know how well that's going to show up on stream. It's very difficult to show you guys flex where it's there in the board, but there is a bit of flexibility. It's very soft, but it's very subtle at the same time. There's not a ton of flex in it. It's probably only maybe a millimetre or so, but it just finishes bottoming out quite nicely. I'm going to say typing feel for me on this one is probably in line with the Matrix. It's probably about a 7. Okay, guys, let's. The side shot looks good. Nice, yeah, it is. Thought we flexed in that, to be honest. There's a fair amount of flex in it. It's really difficult to show you guys how much flex there is. There's a gap underneath the spacebar that you can see, and when I press it, the gap completely disappears. The spacebar goes inside the case effectively at that point. So it's very difficult to show you. But anyway, we're now going to do the scores for innovation. How innovative is this board? Marks out of 10, please. So for innovation, we gave a low score here because for rubber sheet badge design on the Matrix. In fact, actually, we said we were going to fix that and put it the other way around. So a high score means it's very innovative, and a low score means it's not very innovative. So we do need to change that one around. I'm going to mark that as red so I remember to change that. And 10 strong, we'll have a look at that as well. So a high score means it's very innovative. Low score means it's not particularly innovative. See what we come up to on that one. So the Prophet was had pin mount and it had nylon plates and things like that. It was very different. So that got quite high scores. The SKB was very innovative because it was folded metal, the first time we've seen it, that kind of stuff. Doppelganger was quite innovative because it was a split keyboard with macro keys and all sorts of other goodies that we haven't seen for a while before, and USB-C pass-through and all of that kind of stuff. For me, I don't think this is particularly innovative. We've seen PC before, we've seen PC TKLs before, we've seen Wales before. The design hasn't changed much. We've seen copper weights before. I'm going to give this 2. I don't think there's anything particular that draws me to that, other than the fact that the typing experience is really nice, and I like that the plate doesn't screw in; it just rests in and clips into the to the base. That's a nice mounting method. Okay, so let's see what you guys come back on this. 4, 5, 4, and a 2. Okay, so that's probably around a 4 there. A 6 from Talisman. 5 was one of the early PC TKLs. PC being around for a while, not a risky move. Yeah. A 3, a 4.5, a 5, a 2. Petrov could make a PC board in his sleep. Yeah, it's an older board to be fair. If it was early and with those sharp undersides. Yeah, the undersides are really nice. It's sharp. So just here, I'll try and show you guys. These are really nicely cut. Really lovely. Okay, so I think you guys are probably a little bit higher than me. I give it a 2. I think you guys are probably closer overall, averaging a 4. So I'm going to put a 4 down for you guys there. Cool factor. So now we're going to say how cool is this board. If you were to look at this board and someone was to show you this board and ask you how cool it was, would you say it's cool and it's super cool, so therefore you're going to give it a 10, or is it meh, which means you're going to give it a 5, or is it, yeah, it's not cool at all, you could look like a dork with that and give it a 1. Where do you guys see it? Where do you guys see it? Light it up. Okay, yeah, I can light it up. There we go. So you can see it all lit up. That's what the board looks like lit up. I'll if I brought it down so you can see. So you can see it on the desk. That's what it looks like, all lit up. For me, I think this is pretty cool. I really like this board. I'm going to give it a 7.5. Okay. Okay, so let's see what we've got from that. You can start putting the scores in. 6, 7, 7. Okay, so 6.5 there. Dank out of 10. Okay, I'm not quite sure how to score that. 8, 6, 6. Cool Factory's 10. Ugly key set, but Nixie's on PC TKL. Oof. Okay, fair enough. So 10 there. An 8, 4, 5, 7.5. Old Game Boy style points. Nice. 6. Don't light it up. Yeah, I'd turn them off as well. Yeah. Copper weight and cut PC angles. 10. Clear for landing. Custom. Okay. 6.5, 7, 8, 7, 9. You guys are pretty high on this one. I want to say judge the cool factor how much a person would one up you if you went to a meetup with them. The way there's going to trans most boards you could bring. Haha, that may be true. That may be true. I think you guys are a little bit higher than me. I think you're probably about an 8.5 overall on average. So that's the home score done. We're now going to jump into the work score. So if you guys want to say practicality, so this is how easy is this board to transport? Is this something you could carry around with you? Could you take this to work? Bear in mind its weight, its size, how easy it is to damage. Is it particularly practical? Do you guys think it's practical? For me, polycarbonate is probably a bit of a misnomer. It's not something I would take to work. It's easy to scratch. Board's not heavy. It's light. You could carry it around. It would fit in a nice cover or a case or something like that. It would. I'm going to be quite low on this one, I think, for what it is. I'm probably going to go for 6 from a practicality perspective for me personally, just because I'd be really worried in a work environment about damaging this lovely polycarbonate. Future Crimes here says, yo, nice key set. Thank you very much, my dude. This is Pub Goku's board. He actually sent his key set. Personally, I've not opened my DMG yet. It's still sealed on the side. I haven't even unlocked it yet. I haven't even wrapped it. It's still in the original wrapper. But yeah, I've got 3 sets of DMG in the house at the minute, which is unique. But yeah, Future Crime, thanks very much for joining. Okay, so guys, you stop the scores on this one. You've said 7, 6, 6, 5, 5, 6. So you guys are averaging probably a 5.5 or a 6 there. 4 from Talisman, that knocks it down a bit. 6 again, 6.5, another 4. 3, I don't trust see-through plastics. Fair enough. Do we know how heavy it is exactly? It was 1.6 kg, 1.6 kilograms. I wouldn't take it anywhere with the price it cost. 4 too expensive to use, yeah. Okay, so I think you guys are overall, you've 7, 6, 5s and 4s. You're probably somewhere in the region of about 5.5 averaging there from those scores, so we'll put 5.5 in. Okay, last 2 scores then. So the first one is office acceptance. So if this was to be sat on your office, is anyone going to call you out for having an unusual keyboard? Or are people just going to ignore it? Is it going to be accepted into the office? Is it something that's going to fit as part of the rest of the fittings and furniture? Or is it going to stand out like a sore thumb? And is it going to drive, potentially negative conversation? For me, I think this one probably wouldn't fit in my office environment. I would get noticed very quickly with this board. It doesn't look like it fits into that kind of theme. It looked great on my home desk, but probably not my work desk. I'm going to give this one another 6, I think. Okay, I'll give you guys another 10 seconds. A lower score is bad, a high score is good. Clever. So if it's not going to be accepted in the office, that's a bad score, so it should be low. If you think it'll be accepted in the office just fine, then it's a high score, and that's good. 1.6 kilograms was not precise. It was fine. It's not going to make much. Right, let me measure it over here. Let me weigh it over here while you guys are doing the scores on this one. Okay, so 3.11 pounds. So 3 pounds 11 ounces is what I get off stream just here. And let's try that here. It's identical. It's like it's shown as like 0.2 of an ounce out. So it's 0.2 of an ounce lighter on the mat. You wouldn't even notice it. So there you go. Right. Okay. So we've proven the point that Ashley doesn't know what he's talking about. So there we go. Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to stop you there, guys. Let's get this score in. In a private office, I could be fine. Okay, so 6, 7, 3, 5, 5, 4. So probably averaging somewhere in the region of about 5.5 there. 4, 8, 7, 5, 3, 3. Okay, so somewhere around a 5, I think here, guys. Okay. Okay. I think you guys are probably somewhere around a 5 for office acceptance there. So I'm going to put a 5 in for that. And then finally, the final score on the door, guys, is volume, noise level. How acceptable is this board going to be? Is this going to annoy people in the office, or is it going to be completely acceptable? How would you feel about someone typing on this next to you in the office? Is this going to be something that's going to detract from conversation? Can you hear me over the typing? Or does the typing take away every other bit of conversation away from it? How acceptable in the office from a noise level would this be? I'm going to be honest, I think this is pretty good. The profit was really quiet, so I gave that a 10. I think this is a little bit louder than that. I'm going to give this a 9. I think this is pretty good. From a noise perspective, no one's ever going to question that in the office. 9. I wish someone would type all that on that next to me all day. Yeah, well, absolutely. I'm tempted not to give it back to the owner because I really like it. Okay, I'll give you guys another 5 seconds, and then we'll stop there, and that is the final score, and we'll check what the J score comes out at. So Satanicus gives it a 7, a 9, 8, and a 10. 9, 7, 8. So you guys are probably somewhere in the region of about an 8.5 there. I would not accept anyone in the office to have a nicer board than me. Okay, interesting. You can't give an accurate measurement without including your elevation. Enemy's friends, this is fun. This isn't supposed to be science. It's supposed to be fun and build up some scores so that we can start to judge things. Okay. A 10, an 8.5, an 8, a 9, a 5, an 8, an 8, a 9. Okay, I think you guys are a little bit lower than me because there's some 7.5, some 6.25, a 4.5 there from 10 strong. I think you guys are a little bit lower than me. I'm going to put it down as an 8 for you guys as a community score. Okay, so where does that leave us? Let's have a look at the scores on the doors. That gives me giving it a rating of 90.5 and you guys giving it a rating of 90. That equates to a 70 or a 69%. 69% community crowd score. Can I get a 69 in chat, please? 69%, there you go, which does give it a B score, a solid B score from both of us. So we still only have one board where we've disagreed in terms of the score. So there we go, it gets a solid B. Now I need to do a hot take on this one, and my hot take is going to be that this was way nicer than I was expecting. So I never expected Lin boards to actually be good, just because I've never tried them, never had one, never seen one at a meetup. And this has completely blown my expectation of what Lin does and given me a whole newfound respect for Lin boards. So Lin works, I have you on my shopping list now. So my hot take is pleasantly surprised. Yeah, someone's just said that in chat. There's literally what I was about to say, pleasantly surprised. Yeah, so we'll pop that in. Okay, so cool. So there we go. So that's all done. We've done the J score. 10 strong, you need to work on this spreadsheet and get it fixed. You've got access to this, so you could do that. You need to sort it out. I'll leave you to it. I'll get rid of that now, guys. And there we go. So J score is up there. You guys can go look at the J score spreadsheet anytime you like, just by following this link. There you go. And you can go have a look at all the boards on there. And hopefully over time we'll have a full list of all the boards I build on stream on there. Okay, so that's the board. We talked about C3 stabs. C3 stabs are probably third in my list of top 4 stabilizers at the minute. So we're probably going to go Zeal, then we're going to go Everglide stroke Duroc, then we're going to go C3, and then we're going to go the current retooled GMK stabs. C3s are fine once they're lubed, but they're not something I would choose to use unlubed in any particular circumstance. If you want to colour match build though, there are plenty of colour options available, so you can't go wrong from that perspective. We've built the whale. I'm very, very pleasantly surprised about how nice this board is. I was not expecting it to sound anywhere near as good as it does, but it's proof that plastics sound better than metals in some cases, I think. So yeah, so there we go. Okay guys, if there's no final questions, we are going to pause the stream there. Just want to point out one more time that if you want to look at the JO1 raffle, if I can get my finger onto stream, then you can do. The raffle is running for another 3 weeks now. It runs up until the 23rd of December, so you've got 3 weeks to join if you do want to join. We've sold about 1,100 tickets so far at $5 a piece, so we're raising an absolute fortune for charity right now. It is going to go to Sue Ryder, which is the charity that looked after my mum in her final days earlier on this year. It's a great cause. The people that work there don't get enough money, don't get enough respect. They have to work on such tight budgets that it's not really fair given what they do. They provide some of the greatest hospice care in the country, and I really want to support them. So please do consider buying a raffle ticket. Whether you win or don't win, then at least you're going to get that good feeling that you've donated. There are going to be some extras in the box as well, so as well as the J01 that you could win, there will also be this nice artisan which we haven't opened yet from Pub Goku. He's going to check that in. There's going to be also a nice little gift from Zisp as well. I'm going to give anyone who hits 1,000, who hits the 1,000th ticket, so whoever hit the 1,000th ticket, if we sell 2,000, whoever hits that as well, I will send a bag of 100 switches of their choice that I can find that you can buy on Novel Keys, whatever they are. As long as they're in stock on Novel Keys, I will buy them for you. So when this is all over, I'll work out who the 1,000th ticket buyer was and who the 2,000th ticket buyer was if we get that far. And yeah, there are going to be some other extras that will get chucked in the box with the JO1 as well. I need to work out what they are, but I've got some conversations ongoing for them. So please do consider doing that. And I think that's everything. Let's just see if there's any other quick... Equinox. Let's do it next week. It's getting late. It's 20 to 11 here. I've got work in the morning. Probably not a good time. Because of the C3 stabs, we've probably lost it. But I promise you 100%, I'll get the Equinox. The Equinox will be sat there when I start the stream, and it will finish up on my desk here because it'll be the last thing we J-score next week. I promise you, that will happen next week. Okay, so great. We're going to finish the stream there. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. I'm going to go have a drink, sit with my wife for half an hour before I go to bed. I'll see you again on Thursday on the stream. Do check out all the other streamers. Everyone is doing a great job. Gasper's got a J01 build coming up. She did one yesterday. She's got another one coming up as well, so look out for that. J02 goes on sale in February. Watch out for that as well. And I'll speak to you all later. See you later, guys. Thanks very much for joining. Bye bye.